The Valles Occidental Waste Treatment Center is a treatment facility for the mixed municipal waste fraction, that is, rubbish not separated at source but placed in the refuse containers. The plant is able to process 245,000 tons per year in only 2 shifts, with the capacity to expand processing by 25% if needed. The purpose of the Valles Occidental Waste Treatment Center is to maximize utilization of materials that can be recovered from the waste to minimize the refuse. Through mechanical and biological processes, the organic matter of the waste is separated to avoid the contamination it causes. Part of the rubbish, cardboard, plastic, and iron is then recovered and can then be used. The process begins when the trucks from each municipality arrive at the plant. The waste is first weighed to track the amount of waste treated. The trucks enter the reception area through double-door airlocks to prevent odors from escaping. The area has 16 unloading positions where the trucks dump the rubbish directly into the pit, which has a storage capacity for 2.5 days, almost 2,000 tons. A mechanical grab moves the rubbish towards some feeders, where the waste pretreatment process is started. This process is carried out in parallel on 3 independent lines, which have a throughput of 21 tons per hour, enhancing the robustness of the facility. From the feeder, the rubbish passes through the rotary screen or trommel. Waste larger than 35 centimeters is considered to be bulky waste and is carried toward a sorting booth where the cardboard, plastic, and scrap is manually separated. Once the materials are sorted into different containers, they are carried to presses where they are baled. All other unsorted material is considered refuse and taken to a landfill. Waste smaller than 35 centimeters is transferred to a bag opener, which breaks the rubbish bags and then carries the scattered waste toward a second rotary screen. Material smaller than 7 centimeters is considered primarily organic matter, and a conveyor takes it toward the plant where it is stabilized. Any rubbish that does not pass through the 7 centimeter screen moves toward the ballistic separators, which mechanically sorts it into flat and rolling waste. The flat fraction moves on toward a manual sorting booth, where usable materials such as cardboard and some plastics are recovered. Before the fraction enters the manual separation booth, it is subjected to a suction process that removes plastic film and lightweight plastics. The rolling materials separated by the ballistic separators, mainly packaging, move toward a magnetic separator that separates small items containing iron. The rest arrives at an optical separator intended to separate Tetra Paks and plastics. Tetra Paks are sorted separately, and the other plastics go through a second optical separator where they are finally separated according to type of plastic, PET, HDPE, and mixed plastics. Unsorted materials move through a Foucault separator that removes usable aluminum waste. All these recovered materials, iron, aluminum, cardboard, Tetra Paks, and plastics, are transferred to the byproduct presses, where they are baled for transport to the respective recycling plants. Any unsorted waste is considered refuse pressed and baled in plastic to be transported and sent to a limited-purpose landfill, such as the L'Argilera Elena landfill in Cerdanyola del Vallès. These waste bales contain almost no organic matter and are considered inert-like waste. Any organic matter separated in the pretreatment process is carried by a specific conveyor to the stabilization area. This organic fraction is almost half the waste that comes into the plant. Once sorted, the organic matter undergoes a stabilization process carried out by degrading the matter in contact with oxygen. A machine known as a rotary blade turns the organic waste piles for 6 weeks. Control of the humidity and temperature, which can be as high as 70 degrees Celsius, ensures proper waste sanitation and stabilization. Once the process is over, a biostabilized material is obtained that must then be refined. Another fine mesh rotary screen and a vibrating table are used to remove any possible impurities, obtain an organic portion suitable as a substrate for gardening, restoration of quarries, landfills and tainted soils, or to fill and landscape slopes and public works. Utilization of the waste entering the Valles Occidental Waste Treatment Center is maximized, and air, water, and energy consumption at the facility is minimized. Clear proof of the sustainability model and environmental impact minimization at the site. One of the basic principles behind the design and construction of the Valles Occidental Waste Treatment Center has been the control of odors generated by the rubbish. And all facility areas have a negative pressure to prevent odors from getting out. Contaminated air generated during the process is suctioned and carried to a chemical treatment plant with a downstream biofilter to purify the air and eliminate any remaining odors. The Valles Occidental Waste Treatment Center air purification system operates 24/7 and processes more than 270,000 cubic meters per hour to ensure minimal environmental impact. Air is not the only fluid that is important for the Valles Occidental Waste Treatment Center. The facility has a yearly consumption of more than 30,000 cubic meters of water, half of which comes from rainwater collected from the building roof, and the other half is reused water from the water treatment plant, where wastewater from the plant itself and from the landfill is processed. This means that only 10% of the water used is brought in from the water grid, making the Valles Occidental Waste Treatment Center virtually self-sufficient and sustainable in terms of water consumption. The plant is also sustainable in terms of energy. The Valles Occidental Waste Treatment Center has 4.5 megawatts of installed electric power, of which 3.5 megawatts come from a renewable source, namely biogas. Rubbish buried in the Coil Cardús landfill for decades produces this biogas, which can be used as a fuel to generate electrical power in motors. In this way, yesterday's rubbish produces energy to treat the waste generated today. The waste that Valles residents bring to the Valles Occidental Waste Treatment Center consists of rubbish that is not separated or sorted at source. Up to now, the waste was buried in a landfill and forgotten. But it is now possible to avoid pollution and to separate and utilize a small portion. In any case, waste is best sorted at home. Materials sorted into the blue, green, yellow, and brown containers are of high recycling quality and more suitable for subsequent utilization than those separated from mixed rubbish. An example of this is organic matter, which if collected separately in the brown container can produce organic fertilizer of exceptional quality. For this purpose, a new organic fraction processing plant is planned next to the Valles Occidental Waste Treatment Center. At this time, Valles Occidental residents can be sure that their waste is managed using state-of-the-art technology, due to a change in the model promoted by the Waste Consortium. City councils in the area, with the cooperation of all inhabitants, have since learned that waste is a valuable resource.